Thank you for having me this evening. Thank you, Justin, for arranging this event. So I guess just to introduce myself really quickly, my name is Nrsimha. It's a spiritual name, a Sanskrit name, which has been given to me by my spiritual master, my guru, Bhakti Swami. And generally when we take initiation in Bhakti Yoga, we get spiritual names, Sanskrit names, that remind us of our spiritual nature. So my name is Nrsimha, and I've been a monk in the Bhakti Yoga tradition for coming on to 13 years now. I was introduced to Krishna consciousness, Bhakti Yoga, by a friend of mine. I think he's here, I just saw him, Jitendra. But also I was studying at Sydney University, doing well in my material studies. My parents are from India, so they were, as you probably can imagine, they really pushed their kids to perform well in their studies. So they're pushing me really hard to perform well. And I was a bit frustrated. There has to be something else, some higher source of pleasure. So while I was walking down, going from one class to another class at uni, I met some monks. They were from New Zealand. And I was just telling Jake just before that they were distributing copies of the Bhagavad Gita, which is the core yoga text. And I purchased a copy and I read it. I read it in about 10 days. And after I finished reading it, I thought to myself that I learned more reading this book in 10 days than I did studying at university for 5 years. That was my realization. So I decided to dedicate myself to being a monk, and been a monk for 13 years now, and I hope to continue for the rest of my life as well. It's a very blissful life to share spiritual knowledge with other people and to cultivate spirituality for yourself as well. So let's start with just some invocation mantras, just really quickly, okay? Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Has anyone heard that last mantra that I just chanted? Very famous mantra. We'll talk about it later. So the topic for tonight is mantras, sacred sound vibrations, spiritual sound vibrations. Generally when you think of yoga, you think of people doing various types of poses, asanas as they're called, downward facing dog and cat pose and fish pose. As Justin was saying, these are important as well, to be able to focus our mind and our body, to relax our body. Another form of yoga which you may think of is people sitting cross-legged and doing some breath work. Yep, this is called pranayama in Sanskrit, because your mind is connected to your breath. If you slow down your breath, you'll find that the pace in which your mind is jumping from one topic to another topic, it's always jumping like a wild monkey. So if you slow down your breathing, your mind will also slow down as well. And another thing which is connected to your mind is your eyesight. It's another practice in yoga called trataka. So if you bring your eyesight and fix it at one point, if you do one-pointed gaze, if you gaze at one point, then you'll see that your mind slows down as well. Aside from the point. Did you know that simply listening to sound is also yoga? It's called kirtan yoga. And kirtan forms the fundamental basis. There you are, Jitendra. He's the one that introduced me to Krishna consciousness. I'll point him out for saving my life. So, Bhakti yoga is a very spiritual form of yoga. It's the yoga of the soul. And kirtan, or chanting spiritual mantras, is a key part of Bhakti yoga. So before we start talking about kirtan yoga, Bhakti yoga, I thought of just talking about the power of sound. Sound is not something that we can see with our eyes. It's not something tangible. And when something's not tangible, we then tend to think that it's not so important. I just want to highlight the power of sound, giving a historical example. Let's go back to 1883. It's more than a century ago. August of 1883. Everyone knows where Indonesia is, just above Australia. Just right next to Jakarta, on the island of Java, there's an island called Krakatoa. And the largest volcano in the world has just erupted. Geologists say that the sound vibration that was created by that volcanic eruption was the largest natural sound recorded in over 793,000 years. Don't ask me how they found that out, but that's what the geologists say. It's the largest, most terrifying, most devastating sound. Geography lesson again. Everyone knows where Africa is, right? It's practically, if you compare Australia and Indonesia, Africa is on the other side of the globe. You got to cross the Indian Ocean to come to Africa. People in South Africa heard that sound of that volcano erupting, and it sounded like very loud gunfire all the way in South Africa. It shattered their hearts. That was the power of sound. It was so great that the sound vibrations created tidal waves, created tsunamis, which were more than 40 meters high. That volcanic eruption took the lives of more than 36,000 people. And what was the cause? It was the sound vibration that came from that volcanic eruption. So sound is very powerful. I want to tell you this evening that there's two main characteristics of sound that you should understand. Firstly, sound has the ability to change the way that you feel. It has the ability to change your consciousness, your state of mind. There was a Japanese researcher, his name was Masaru Emoto. Maybe some of you might have heard of him. And he conducted an experiment. And what he did is he got different glasses of water, right? Many glasses of water. And he exposed some of the glasses of water to a very positive situation and some of the glasses of water to a negative situation. For example, he got some monks to come in and bless some of the glasses of water. He exposed some of the glasses of water to positive affirmations like, I love you, peace be with you, I don't know, something else, whatever. And he exposed some of the glasses of water to classical music. And then on the other hand, some of the glasses of water he exposed to negative affirmations. I hate you, you make me sick, things like that. Death metal music, sorry if anyone's a fan of that. And what he did is he froze the water in each one of these glasses. And then he observed the ice crystals. And what he found was that those glasses of water that were exposed to a positive situation, a positive environment, they created very beautiful crystalline ice crystals. Like if you look at it under the microscope, they looked very beautiful, very attractive. And those glasses of water which were exposed to negative sound vibration, they were very amorphous, very, ugly looking. They didn't have any proper structure or anything like that. Now just consider that the human body is supposed to be 70% water. And if water has an effect due to sound vibration, it just shows how much we should surround ourselves with positive sound vibration. We're talking about how sound affects your consciousness. We've all been in situations where perhaps we've argued with someone, we've been in a confrontation with someone has chastised us, they're calling us names. And how does that make you feel? You get depressed, you get angry, your adrenaline starts to pump up, you feel bad. But when someone glorifies you, talks about your good qualities, you feel exactly the opposite. So sound has that quality. Even though we can't touch it, feel it, nothing like that, we can't see it, it has the ability to affect our mind and the way that we think, the way that we feel. The second quality, the second characteristic of sound is that it has the ability to transmit knowledge. Try to understand this point. We learn things by hearing, right? If you take two students, one student is a science student and another student is, let's say, an arts student. And you get both of these students to look at a microscope, to look down a microscope, into a microscope. And they're looking at, let's say, a cell. And you got a cell membrane, you got a nucleus, some mitochondria, all these things. The science student and the art student is seeing exactly the same thing. They're both seeing the cell and the structure of the cell. But the science student actually understands what they're seeing because they've heard from their professors, they've heard from their tutors, they've read textbooks about what they're seeing so they can understand it. But let's say, for example, the art student, because they haven't been exposed to such knowledge through hearing, they can't understand. So what that means is that just because we have our eyes open and we're looking at things in this world, doesn't actually mean that we actually know what's going on. We need to have proper knowledge of who we are, what our identity is, what this world, this material manifestation around us is, what its purpose is. Is life's purpose just to earn money, to get rich, to get famous? Or is there a deeper purpose in life? And it starts with identity, understanding who we are. Now, not all sound is the same. There's material sound and there's spiritual sound. What is your name, sir? Luke? What's your favorite food, Luke?
Ooh, blood orange.
Blood orange.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. Why do you like blood oranges? Is it just the taste or how they look?
They're only available at a certain time of year, so it's
winter time, I'm guessing?
Yeah.
So citrus fruits are available in the winter time. And I don't know, because in the ashram that I stay in, all the monks, we get fruits throughout the year, and in the summertime we get nectarines and plums, and sometimes, if we're lucky, avocados and mangoes. But in the winter time, it's just kiwis and kiwis and mandarins and oranges. Okay, so you like blood oranges. They taste really nice to you. If I told you, keep saying blood orange, blood orange, blood orange, just keep saying it again and again and again, what do you think will happen? First of all, are you going to get a blood orange just by saying blood orange?
No, it's not.
So the item, blood orange, is different from the sound vibration. Just because I say blood orange, or Coca-Cola, or burger, or whatever, it doesn't mean that it's going to appear in my hand. Right? Secondly, the nature of material sound is that it gets hackneyed. Does anyone know what this word means? Hackneyed? It gets very stale very soon. If I keep saying blood orange, blood orange, blood orange, I say for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, it'll start to lose its meaning. You just stop and you'll just think, what am I saying? It doesn't mean anything. That's the nature of material sound. Now, spiritual sound is exactly the opposite. Spiritual sound is completely different. Spiritual sound is called mantra. You've heard the word before, mantra, but what does it mean? It's a Sanskrit word, mantra, and it is composed of two different subwords. The first word is man, and man means the mind. The second part, tra, comes from the Sanskrit word trayate, which means to free, to liberate, to deliver. So that sound vibration, which has the ability to free your mind from material confinement, material life, is called mantra. It's a spiritual sound vibration. And it's exactly the opposite to material sound. The more you chant mantras, the tastier they become. Perhaps you had a little glimpse of it just now when we were chanting Jai Satchidananda. Now this was a kirtan. There's two people performing the kirtan, and there's about, I don't know, maybe 20 people here, 20, 25 people here. Kirtans can be performed with just 2 people, or they can be performed with thousands of people. I remember seeing a video of the Woodstock Festival in Poland. They have a Woodstock festival. A lot of hippies come there. And there was a devotee, a Bhakti yoga practitioner, singing a kirtan on the stage. And there were 300,000 people jumping up, swaying, chanting. Everyone was completely ecstatic. And if you come to our center, our temple in North Sydney, you'll see, especially we have kirtan in the mornings, and all the monks and the people who come to the temple were just ecstatically dancing, running from one end of the temple room to the other end, and holding hands and twirling around. It's just really, it's really nice. I explained to you that sound transmits knowledge, and sound has the ability to make you feel a certain way. By chanting mantras, you feel blissful and happy, and by chanting mantras, you get to understand what your actual identity is. You get that knowledge of what your actual identity is. Mantras will actually tell you, that you'll get the realization from inside that you're not this material body. You're not even your mind. You are a spiritual living entity. You are a spiritual person. You are the spirit soul. And your spirit soul has a spiritual body as well. Just like if I have my hand, right? And I cover my hand with a glove. So that glove is actually your material body right now. But we're misidentifying our hand for being the glove. Why does the glove have 5 fingers? Because the hand that goes inside the glove has 5 fingers. So similarly, why do we have eyes, ears, different senses? Why do we have hands and legs? Because the spiritual body originally has all of these things as well. Now, who has heard the word Dharma before? It's one of those common Sanskrit words. So, can you tell me what it means? Sorry, what's your name? Kartik.
In one context, it could mean charity.
Okay.
In another context, it could mean a way of life.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Those are the two.
Good. It's a word which can mean many things. So yes, what you said is correct. Does anyone else? Did you also raise your hand, Luke? Or who else? Justin. Yes.
I kind of think of it like if you have like a GPS and it's showing you kind of the blue line. I kind of think of it as the blue line kind of thing.
Okay. You mean the path?
Completely wrong. Yeah, kind of the path or the direction. That's what I think.
Good. Okay. Yep. Anyone else? Yes, we've got 2 hands there. What? Maybe at the back first. Purpose. Yes, that's a good answer as well. And you?
Say calling.
A calling from within. These are all correct. I'll tell you the most precise answer. I'm not speaking for myself, I'm speaking according to what the yoga texts explain. Dharma is the constitutional nature of something. It's the intrinsic quality of something. Let me ask you a simple question. What is the dharma of fire?
To burn.
To burn, heat, light. If fire didn't give off heat and light, would you call it fire? It wouldn't be fire. It may look like fire, but it's not fire. It's not working like fire. You take a lemon. What is the dharma of a lemon? Sourness. A lemon is useless if it's not sour, right? The inherent quality of a lemon is its sourness. Similarly, the inherent quality, nowadays you have these things called lemonettes, which are sweet lemons. Going against Dharma a little bit. So, the Dharma of water is liquidity. So let me ask you a question. If Dharma is the intrinsic nature of something, and if we are spiritual living entities, if we're spirit souls, what is the Dharma of the soul? Interesting question. What is the Dharma of the soul? What is the characteristic of the soul which, unless it's there, our existence has no meaning? Any ideas? Yes?
I feel like everyone tries to be a part of something bigger than themselves.
Okay, hinting something. Good. Anything else? Can you explain that a bit more?
I feel like people just seek to want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. See, like you find humans naturally seek community. And even people that like to be dictators, for instance. Like even Hitler, right? I think he felt like he was serving something bigger than himself, like a purpose of was.
Okay.
And it's like you can't, if a person doesn't have that, then they feel very lost.
So you're saying we feel like we belong to something, we want to be part of something outside of ourselves, bigger than ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay, something more meaningful.
Yeah.
Anyone else? What is the Dharma? Everyone understands the question, yes? Yes, Luke.
The soul's eternal.
Yes, that is a characteristic of the soul. It is Sat, Chit, Ananda. The soul is Sat, which means it's eternal. The soul is Chit, which means it's full of knowledge. And the soul is Ananda, which means it's full of bliss. Anything on the spiritual platform is Sat, Chit, Ananda. And because mantras are on the spiritual platform, mantras are also Sat, Chit, Ananda as well. That's why I was saying material sound, it gets very boring after some time. Just like your favorite band releases a song and you hear it for some time, over and over and over again. And then it gets boring, you want to hear something else. And after like some months you feel like going back and hearing it again, right? So it's like, it comes in waves, but spiritual sound is not like that. So that's a good answer. I'll tell you according to the yoga text what the Dharma of the soul is. The yoga texts explain that the Dharma of the soul is to serve. Now try to understand this. We are always serving something or someone at all times. The mother serves the family, the father serves the family, the kids serve the parents. Right now you're serving me by lending your attention. I'm serving you by trying to give you some knowledge. The sweeper in the street is serving society by cleaning the streets. Even the so-called highest position in this mature world, which may be the president or a prime minister of a certain country, they're also serving their countrymen. Because if they don't serve the people in their country, they're not going to elect them again. So they have to serve them. Even if you go to a forest and you sit there by yourself, you're still serving something. You know what you're serving? You're serving your body. Because you'll go and pick some fruits, you'll eat something, you'll go to a river, you'll wash your body. You're taking care of your body, you're serving your body so that it's in a fit position, it's in a fit condition. So we're always serving. Now the question is, as a spirit soul, who should we be serving? That's the question. Who should we be serving as a spirit soul? We talked about material examples, right? Like I talked about the teacher serving the students are serving the teacher, you're serving your boss at work, and they're also serving you by giving you some money in return, some remuneration in return. If they didn't, then you wouldn't work for them, most likely. So, as a spirit soul, who should we be serving? I'm a monk, so I want to get to the crux of the matter here. We're talking about yoga. Yoga means connection. That means for a connection to happen, at least two things need to be there, right? For them to connect to each other. So, one thing we've already discussed, which is us as spiritual living beings. Now, for there to be yoga, for there to be a connection, we need to be connecting to something. So what is that we are trying to connect to, that we should be connecting to? Interesting.
Krishna?
Good, okay.
I'm trying to go straight to the crux.
Exactly. That's why I chose you. Okay, so who is this mystical person called Krishna? Krishna is known as the best friend of the soul. He's the friend of the soul. He's everyone's best friend. He is situated right now in your body right now. as the super soul. And you are there as well in your body right now as your individual soul. Yoga means to connect your individual soul to Krishna. And we'll come to Kirtan, how that plays in. I just want to define what Krishna means. Krishna means all attractive. Krishna is a completely spiritual person. No material tinges, no material traits, nothing like that. We are spiritual. Krishna is also spiritual. My spiritual master, my guru, he refers to Krishna as the love supreme. He's the person that we should direct our love to the most. Of course, in this world, we love our family, we love our children, we love our friends, like that. But our focus as spirit souls should be to direct our love to Krishna, because by doing that, the soul will actually be happy. See, the issue is that we're thinking that we're the body, we're thinking that we are matter. And because we misidentify ourselves for being material, we're looking for happiness in material things as well. So that's why it's not going to work, because we're not actually material. We're spiritual. It's just like if I took a fish out of the water and I serve it a 10-course meal, or I take it on a ride in a Ferrari or a Lamborghini or whatever, it's not going to be happy because it's outside of its constitutional environment. That's not what the fish is. The fish is an animal of the water, a species of the water. So similarly, we don't belong here in this material world. We're spiritual. So we belong in a different environment completely. So yoga is about the soul connecting to Krishna. Now I mentioned that Krishna means all attractive. So I want to ask you a question. What is it that makes someone attractive in general? What is it about a person, maybe qualities or characteristics, that makes a person attractive? What would you say? Honesty. Yep, honesty, truthfulness, being moral and ethical. Yes?
Good looks.
Good looks, which can be summarized as beauty, perhaps, yes? That's an obvious one. Anything else?
Integrity.
Sorry, what was that?
Integrity.
Integrity, yep, integrity.
Okay, the connection one has with the other makes them attractive, because attraction is very individualistic. So when you are connecting to another person, naturally, various forms of connection, you naturally find them attractive.
Yes, so it depends on person to person. Yes, that's a good answer as well. Anyone else? What makes a person attractive? Yes? So one thing I noticed is we're talking about qualities. That's good, because that is the answer. You're going to say something, Ed?
So you said like what they do, like if they like can do like impressive things, if they have like a
Their actions, their activities. All of these things can be summarized in 6 different qualities. What I'm doing is I'm giving a definition of Krishna, because Krishna means all attractive. The yoga text highlights 6 qualities that make a person attractive in general. First is, as you mentioned, sir, beauty. We can see supermodels, right? For example, they have physical beauty, and that's what makes people attracted to them, right? Another quality is strength. If someone is strong in general, possesses physical strength, you could say, for example, let's say Bruce Lee, let's say Muhammad Ali, because they possess physical strength, generally people are attracted to them. Maybe not everyone, but there are a certain number of people that are attracted to them. They're attracted by that quality. So we have beauty, we have strength. Another one is wealth. If someone is wealthy in this world, can someone tell me someone who's a wealthy person in this world and that's what makes them attractive? Perhaps.
a lot of people talk about like Elon Musk and people like that.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, Karthik, Maybe not everyone, but some people are attracted because a certain person may be wealthy. Beauty, strength, wealth, knowledge. If someone has the quality of possessing knowledge, that makes that person attractive as well. Let's say, for example, Albert Einstein or Isaac Newton. Okay? Materially, they're knowledgeable people and people look up to them. The scientific community, they respect such people. So knowledge makes a person attractive as well. The fifth quality is fame. If someone possesses fame, they can become attractive as well. And obviously you see movie stars and film stars and stuff like that. They have fame, so people are attracted to them. They have their fan following, they have their followers, they have their Twitter and their social media accounts and all that sort of stuff. And so many people subscribe to that. The last quality, you probably wouldn't get if I asked you. It's actually renunciation. Can you appreciate that? That someone can become attractive because they're very renounced. Can someone give an example of a person who's renounced and because of their renunciation they're very attractive?
I'm sure it could be the right example.
Yeah?
The Pope.
Yeah, the Pope, you could say. Yeah? They have many followers. He has many followers. The Dalai Lama, he's a monk. He's renounced. So certain people are attracted to such personalities. Yes?
Did you say someone is like aloof, like a cool person is like renounced? Is that the same thing?
Yeah, that quality of renunciation is there. Yeah? So it doesn't necessarily need to be applied to people in the monastic order or something like that. But see, generally people are attracted to material things. And if someone comes along and they're detached completely, then we're like, hey, what's wrong with this person? How come he's so detached? He or she is so detached. So we become curious. Where is that detachment coming from? The fact that they're detached from this means that they must have some sort of a higher attachment somewhere else. Otherwise, how are they getting their fulfillment? Now, all of us in this room, each and every single person in this room, each one of you possesses these 6 qualities in some degree. Some people may possess more strength and less beauty. Some people may possess more fame and less renunciation. You all have these 6 qualities, but to varying degrees, to varying amounts. Now here's the definition of Krishna. Krishna is that person who has all 6 of these qualities, but to an unlimited degree. Try to understand that in your mind. That means Krishna is that person who possesses unlimited beauty, unlimited knowledge, unlimited strength, unlimited wealth, unlimited fame, and unlimited renunciation as well. So it's very natural for the soul to be attracted to Krishna. Yes?
Aren't these like superficial qualities?
Why do you say that?
As in like you can be attracted in like an initial sense, but you know many people who are all of these things can be very unattractive once you get to them.
That means they actually don't possess these qualities. Krishna possesses these qualities on a spiritual platform. We're spiritual personalities. So what I'm trying to say is that what yoga means is that when we connect with Krishna, the process in which we connect to Krishna is through kirtan. What is kirtan? Kirtan means coming together and chanting mantras. There's 2 ways that you can do it. There's 2 ways that you can perform mantra meditation. One is what we just experienced right now, coming together and chanting mantras. That's called kirtan. It's call and response. Another way is called japa. If I can take this off. Have you guys seen this before? These are called japa beads. Japa is another form of mantra meditation that you can do as well. Kirtan is something that you do together in a group, but when you're by yourself, in your own home, in your own room, then what you can do is you can take these japa beads, and these are made from a sacred wood. It's called tulsi, which is sacred basil, And it's mentioned that if one chants mantras on these beads made of sacred basil, tulsi, one progresses in spiritual life 1,000 times more than if one chanted on anything else. So japa beads is very important as well for our practice of Krishna consciousness. And there's many mantras as well. There's thousands of mantras. There's mantras which refer to Shiva or Ganesh or Durga or Vishnu or Krishna. But the yoga texts explain that the most powerful mantra for the present day and age is the Hare Krishna mantra. It's just 3 words: Hare, Krishna, and Rama. Krishna, as we described, refers to the all-attractive person. Rama is another name of Krishna as well. It means the reservoir of all pleasure. If we connect ourselves to Krishna by chanting Rama, we will feel a deep pleasure within our hearts. And Hare refers to Krishna's energy. I'm not sure if you've seen pictures of Krishna, but maybe you've seen pictures of Krishna with a girl next to him. Yeah? Her name is Radha. Have you seen it before? There's a girl next to him often. That's his consort. Her name is Radha. And she represents the energy of Krishna. Krishna is the energetic person. And Radha is his energy. I'll just give you a very simple example. Just like you have the sun, and then you have the sunshine. You can't separate the sun from the sunshine. Right? The energy of the sun is the sunshine. Similarly, Krishna is like the sun. He's the energetic source. And from him is coming all the energies, whether it's material energy, spiritual energy. But the ultimate summation of the energy, the spiritual energy, is Radha. So she's like the supreme goddess. She's the mother of the soul. Krishna is the father of the soul, and Radha is the mother of the soul. So when we chant the Hare Krishna mantra, it's the soul calling out to our divine, our spiritual mother and father, asking them to please accept us under their shelter, asking them to please accept us in their service, because this is the constitutional nature of the soul. I'll finish with 1 point. How are we going for time? About 7 past 7. With 1 point. The yoga texts explain a very deep secret. If we want to go back to that spiritual environment, because currently we're in this material environment, we're trapped in the material body, and spiritual success means that we rid ourselves of this material body, we get our original spiritual body back. How do we do that? The Bhagavad Gita, which is the core yoga text, explains that according to our consciousness at the time of death, that determines the destination of the soul in the next life. I'm just touching upon the science of reincarnation here. The yoga texts explain that if at the time of death you have a very spiritual consciousness and you're meditating on mantras at the time of death, that's why you see sometimes when Bhakti yoga practitioners are passing away, even if they're in the hospital, they'll have mantras playing so that the sound vibration is still entering their ears and it's still reaching the soul. If you're conscious of Krishna at the time of death, the yoga texts explain that immediately your soul gets transferred back to the spiritual world, back into the association of Krishna. Now, how do you come to that stage? Throughout this lifetime, we should practice Bhakti yoga. We should practice Kirtan yoga as much as possible. Srila Prabhupada, who is the person that brought Krishna consciousness, Bhakti yoga, to the West in the late 1960s, he explains that by regularly chanting mantras every day, meditating on mantras, at the end of our lifetime, we can be sure that we can be fully Krishna conscious, we can be fully spiritually conscious, and we can attain a very beautiful destination in the future as well. So we do that for ourselves, and we share this knowledge with other people as well. So who has heard of the Bhagavad Gita? Yeah, everyone has pretty much heard of the Bhagavad Gita. So I really encourage you to please get a copy of the Bhagavad Gita, especially the Bhagavad Gita as it is. It's the most widely sort of publicized version of the Bhagavad Gita. A lot of the universities have the Bhagavad Gita as it is by Swami Prabhupada. And it's very beautifully written out as well, laid out as well. You have the original Sanskrit texts that Krishna is speaking. You have the English translation of the Sanskrit. You have a word-for-word breakdown as well. So what each Sanskrit word means in English. Based on that, you have a translation and commentaries as well. It looks like a very big, yeah, there we go, right at the back there. So if you don't have a copy, please come at the end and purchase a copy. And it looks like a very big book, but all you got to do on your first attempt is just read through the translations. If you read through the translations, you can finish the book very, very quickly. Within a week, you can finish it. And then you can go back and read the commentaries and the purports as well. So I'll finish there. I just wanted to get as much information as possible because yoga is a very spiritual art. And I wanted to explain to you guys today what is actually connecting to what. Yoga in its essence is the soul connecting to the super soul, connecting to the supreme soul. And the yoga texts explain that super soul, the supreme soul, is Krishna. And that's what Kirtan Yoga does. By chanting Krishna's name, the soul is connecting directly to Krishna. So I'll ask, is there any questions? Either you understood everything or you didn't understand anything.
I'll ask a question about going back to the beginning.
Yeah.
When you said about the sort of effects of sound, is that the frequency of the sound or the intention of the sound? Like what the example?
Both.
Because you used the example of like death metal. Like if it was heavy music but with positive lyrics, is that a different effect?
It's as you rightly mentioned, it's the frequency on a physical platform, but it's also the intention as well. I'll give you an example. Especially in Los Angeles, in Los Angeles, people are very health conscious, especially in certain section of Los Angeles, people are very health conscious. And you see traces of that in Sydney as well, in areas like Bondi Junction, things like that. So there is a company, I don't know the name of the company, but they actually sell food which has been embedded with consciousness. So what they do is they make their food. I don't know exactly what they make, but something. They make some sort of food, and before they pack it up, they get monks and spiritual people to come into their factories and actually bless the food with intentions, with good intentions, spiritual intentions, positive intentions. And the idea is that goes into the food, and when people eat that, they get that same spiritual energy as well. That is actually a science. It's there. Roughly, you'll see it in Christianity. Before people eat food, they say grace. They're invoking spiritual sound before they eat the food. In Bhakti Yoga, we do the same thing as well. When we cook food for Krishna, we don't taste the food. So, who's cooked the food today? Was it cooked at the temple or? So whatever food that you're going to take this evening, the chefs who are cooking that food, they never tasted that food. You see these cooking shows, and every 2 minutes the chef will be like tasting it. They'll put one ingredient in and they'll taste it. Is it right? Is it right? So in Krishna consciousness and Bhakti Yoga, when the cooks are cooking, they don't taste the food. They just cook out of their love. They offer it to Krishna. Krishna tastes the food. And they offer it to Krishna by chanting mantras, by the way. And the science is that when we eat the food that Krishna has tasted, our consciousness gets purified. Our consciousness becomes more spiritual as well. So you can advance in Bhakti Yoga just by eating food which has been offered to Krishna. It's so easy. Bhakti Yoga is so easy. Our philosophy is very simple. Chant, dance, and feast. And if you're a little inclined, you can read the philosophy. Because philosophy is important, because otherwise you don't know why you're doing something. If you don't know why you're doing something, it becomes a ritual. And that's why many people are not interested in religion anymore, because it was just passed down and no one really studied the books and got into it. And it's just like, why am I going to church every week? Why am I going to the temple? Why am I doing this? Why do I have to read this? Why do I have to say this? people don't understand why they have to do something, it becomes a ritual, people lose interest over time. Spirituality is not like that. The Bhagavad Gita gives full knowledge as to why you should do something. Anything else? We'll take one more question if there is, and we'll call it a night, and we'll do our kirtan. Okay? Then we'll finish. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.